That was a different one.
I try to do different every time.
For every episode, for hundreds of episodes.
That or I'll just forget to do it one day and then it's never done again.
There was the one time where I surprised you. So
And
it was
you
like
did
delayed and then I did it. Yeah.
The brain glitch. I don't know what to tell you.
Which is funny.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, back over to English. That was fuck.
Oh.
See, brain glitch. Welcome to episode 10 of 64 Bits of Rage.
It seemed like we got to episode 10 of 64 Bits of Rage like more quickly than Rage Quit.
I feel like with this one, because we have that set schedule is what's going on.
And Rage Quit last year didn't.
Now, a lot of shit last year did not have a schedule in the first place. It just...
trying to get it to work.
Just to get it going. We were just trying to get that shit on the road and it started.
Get the foundation built.
And we did not stay consistent and we found out.
We kept building houses and tearing them down on the foundation. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, what happened
and now we have a mansion built upon our foundation. So.
Dun, dun, dun.
At least the wings of one.
Yeah, but we definitely found out the hard way. We have to be consistent, or people A, don't pay attention, or B, when we do put the podcast out there, they're not relevant anymore. Even though ours is more evergreen content.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, we wanted the one podcast out of like 10 we do. It's like it's not evergreen content. We wanted to keep it, for a game that's coming out or something, and we missed the boat on it or whatever.
Yeah, or vice versa. It's like way too early kind of a thing, or. Even though we recorded it early, it goes out months later. Yeah, and... Now it's just like a week or two delay at max.
Yeah, we never go too far out, because, like, yes, we may be evergreen content, but at the same time, we do like to keep up with current topics. And, we've been doing the Rage Talks, more or less, because it's a bit of the slow season.
Yeah, kind of like a horribly imposed slow season.
Well,
yeah, it normally
it's more of a forced slow season, but there's not a lot we can do about that either. It's not like
that's a global crisis. So it has nothing to do with
manufacturing or getting games out or delays in games.
Anything that we can affect.
No, God, it is honestly due to a virus, so it's just kind of slowing down.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but that's why we keep it green.
I keep 100.
Super green.
Keep it real, yo.
Yeah. So we talk about all sorts of things. So, kind sir, what are we talking about today?
I'm gonna talk about myself. My name's Anthony Schultz.
God damn it! We was gonna talk about yourself. Fine, I'm Ariel Schultz. I have myself too.
And this is episode 10 of 64 Bits of Rage. Today our topic is gonna be it's titled Generational Nintendo. But we're going to be talking about Nintendo's kind of rightful place as the king amongst all of the different generations of gaming, which are pretty clearly defined by years and then which consoles were in them and why. Mm-hmm. So, we're just kind of dive into the nitty gritty and we'll talk about fond memories with consoles that we actually did play, or maybe if they were after the fact, if we played some games, why we see its importance in that generation or what happened. But
I think it's just important in any generation to play old consoles regardless.
I think it is too. I think it's a long enough and old enough industry that history is an important part of it now.
It is. I get you youngins, y'all need to get your head out your asses because you got the really cool upbeat frames and beautiness and all that. You need to play the older games. This is where we all started from, the side scroller. I get they do have, on the Switch, the NES ported games. So they do have availability to do it, but I feel like you need the old school, sit on your butt, you only got a 3-foot cord playing the games.
I think every gamer, casual or hardcore, should, even if it's just a retro console, find one that you like and have it.
If you say you're a Nintendo person,
scoop it up at a garage sale, or whatever.
Old NES, they always sell shit at garage sales or
thrift stores. Yeah.
Don't go all buck wild and spend.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not urging you to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a near mint, obscure console.
No. Which will
don't get
cover
the original TurboGrafx 16 or Neo Geo or something.
Oh God! There's your arm and leg in life.
Yeah, it's like. But yeah, I mean, there's so many great mini classic systems out too that are cheap and easy to hook up, but they do have corded controllers and do a pretty decent job of emulating what it was like
Yeah.
to play, you know, an original NES or Super Nintendo or
Yeah,
PlayStation
even the retro
or Sega.
consoles. That's what I mean. They have like
yeah, get one of
the
those.
little
like $20
NES one. Little
Yeah.
NES. It's got cords on it. Fuck around with it.
Play it in HD, but yeah, it got a short cable.
It's got a short cable?
Yeah.
For granted, it does come with the cordless ones, but don't be a bitch. Play with your horse. Play with your cord. Play with it.
Play with your horse. Play with your horse. Don't leave them frozen in a brothel. Bring them inside.
Oh.
Because they might welcome you inside. Bum, 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 bam!
Full circle jokes.
Yeah.
Circle jerk. What?
Didn't expect that and about died.
Anthony inhaled a soda, part 2.
This time it's personal.
No, but anyways, I lost what I was going to say.
Bring your horse inside.
No, the horse can stay outside. There's pine needles. They can make a bed.
Oh, that's sad.
I said horse, not horses.
Oh.
Not bringing my horses inside.
But
What, you call me a whore?
What?
What? No.
What are we talking about?
I don't think we even know what we're talking about. Bidets?
I like how you really want to talk about bidets. You did this last recording too. I just glossed over it so you stopped, but you're already back at it.
Because the toilet paper thing just baffles me.
I know.
Anyways, so we're starting out with generational consoles and actually the beginning of individual consoles, not game systems themselves, because obviously you get arcade games and the differences of that.
Yeah, we're talking specifically about home console generations.
Yes.
So we're not going to be bleeding over into like arcade cabinets. They definitely have their own distinct history and place within video game history for sure.
Yeah, especially the games and, Mario, Jumpman and all that. But we're talking about the actual consoles people bought for their homes to touch to their TVs and play. It's what we're talking about.
Yes.
So we're, going to dive deep into, like you said, how Nintendo's king. How he just, has his crown and has been there from the fucking get-go.
And is, not even, desperately holding on to it, just rightfully and strongly holding on to it.
Dude, he is, isn't he? He's just like, I got this home.
Yeah, even with any kind of, a flop or disappointment like the Wii U, it's it's really the only big moment of weakness that they've had in recent memory.
Yeah, but if you think about it, all the other generations are the ones that have flopped, and it's that wouldn't be able to come back from that kind of flop,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We've lost, far more console manufacturers than we have gained.
It's like we talked about in the last episode, the Genesis, it's out before its time, and because
the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, sorry, it flopped so hard, there's just nothing after the Dreamcast.
Yeah, Sega was done with that generation. They were finito.
Just because of the flop, they couldn't come back.
Yeah, and their leadership at the time really didn't want to be in the home console business anymore, so they were very quick to pull out, and they had to restructure financially, and they were done.
But that being said, do you feel like, and this is a hypothetical, obviously, if Nintendo ever had a flop in its earlier generations, would it have been able to come back?
They would have had to have had a flop specifically with out the gate with the NES, because you've pointed this out in prior episodes that gaming, especially with older generations, is synonymous with Nintendo.
Yep.
And that was because of the NES. And so if you read into a lot of the console generations and the history of certain console manufacturers or even studios and publishers, that have kind of ebbed up and become increasingly popular and then faded away, or held on. It doesn't really matter. That just kind of history, that kind of scope, it'll oftentimes bring up that fact that gaming is synonymous with Nintendo. It's not I'm playing video games or I'm playing a console. It's
I'm playing Nintendo.
I'm playing Nintendo.
Yeah, it really
and
is.
It's just kind of culturally ingrained, especially in the United States.
When people think
that's you're playing Nintendo.
Yeah, you don't say the.
Obviously, we're more specific now because younger generations are more kind of tech oriented to begin with,
that's
so
true.
we can kind of sift through and be like, oh, I'm playing
the 64
Master Chief on the Xbox, this particular collection, or whatever. But for a lot of people, and as just kind of standard cultural nomenclature, playing video games is synonymous with playing Nintendo, and that's because of the NES. And so if that had flopped, yeah, I mean, it would have changed the face of video games forever, and they might not have ever had a chance to take off.
Yeah.
Even wear the crown. But they kind of came out gangbusters, and they really kind of cemented their place early on.
They really did.
In console generations. Yeah, Dr. Mario's great.
You fucking kick my ass. I hate you, Dr. Mario. Like, you do shit. I'm like, how do you do this?
That's how my brain works. It's like how to fit shit together like that.
Like,
that's why.
You like somehow maneuver and spin the little doohickey, the pill, and get it just to juxtapose just right in between like 3 gaps of things. It's like, I can't even work that fast.
I know. Well, and I used to when I was like, see, and I wish they had esports for this kind of stuff.
They do have some esports, but maybe not for Dr. Mario. They did for Tetris.
No, that's what I mean. It's like, and I would be so good at that because that's how I like.
Your brain works with Dr. Mario.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, it's just how it functions, so it makes sense. When I was like in my heyday of playing Dr. Mario, I would.
Your heyday. I like how you had a heyday.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I had a heyday for like a lot of games, and I was playing like the original NES version then too. Well, no, on the same NES.
Yeah, that you've had forever.
Oh yeah.
How did you get that NES before we dive into that?
That one is actually so this is kind of an interesting story actually.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Down.
So when I was a kid,
what? You were a kid?
Yeah. I was born a small black child.
Aww.
A jerk reference that is gonna go way over the head of a lot of our audience, but
so people would be like, fucking racist.
Yeah, that's all they're gonna say.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get like canceled on fucking social media, but whatever. And he's back. Can't cancel me for long.
Dude.
So, my parents, like, it was my stepdad and my mom. It was my...
Wait, which husband was this?
Third.
Good thing she doesn't listen to these.
She does listen to them.
Damn it. We're screwed.
It was my 4th birthday, which I remember very
vividly.
vividly.
How do you remember your 4th birthday?
I remember my 4th birthday.
You're one of those weird kids. I remember when I was born.
No, I'm not Bender. But the advertisement for like Sega and Sega was super like flashy. It was like the cool kids like console. Like a Nintendo had already been out for a while, and my stepdad had a NES and a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
The Super Nintendo was the only thing kind of like hooked up.
Yeah.
And so I played like Super Mario World and all that stuff.
Yeah, so
but I really wanted
you
a
started
Sega.
Essentially out with Nintendo, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's funny how it like dived down to Sony though.
Yeah, way later, like because I was a Sega kid growing up, like.
Sega or whatever.
But anyways, it was just like the way it was advertised, and it was the point of the advertising. It was like the cool new slick like console on the block, and it was better than Nintendo because it was like more edgy and things like that. It was 90s advertising.
Yeah.
And because I was 4 in 1992.
I was 2.
And so.
Oh no, I was 1.
No, you weren't. I was like, wait a minute, is it right?
I was 1.
And I remember asking for a Sega Genesis, and they're like, it's too expensive. Like, you're not going to be able to get one. Well, for my 4th birthday, they got me a Sega Genesis.
Nice.
And so I got to play, Sonic the Hedgehog and Echo the Dolphin and all these, like, awesome...
I remember, didn't you used to curse at Echo the Dolphin?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I didn't curse really as a kid, but I would scream at it. I would, like, Echo the Dolphin is infuriating to this day, but still one of my favorites. And anyways, years and years later... we moved back to Spokane and stuff. My mom was remarried, and I still had my Sega Genesis. And there was a family that lived like kitty corner. Like the neighborhood we lived in had a lot of kids that were like my age and stuff, and so played games and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy that lived kitty corner to us, and he had 2 daughters that were about my age. And so I was like a little kid. And
didn't mean it didn't start early.
he had a whole bunch of like consoles and stuff. And so we swapped Sega Genesis and NES. And then eventually I got my Sega Genesis back from him.
Yeah.
And he said I could just have the NES.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, and then there was a kid that, this is like junior high age now, that had a whole bunch of NES games, and he let me borrow a ton of them, like a box of them. And so I was playing through all sorts of stuff. Well, then he moved. And I never asked him back, and he never came back. So I had a box of NES games, which is still most of my collection. I filled in over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
But that NES is from then, so it was an original NES. But I've had that particular one for say junior high age, probably about 12
That's
or
insane.
so. So it's been what 19 years that I've
Still
had
works.
that. Yeah, it still works just fine, which is great. And then the Sega Genesis
Mhm.
is my original one from when I was 4 years old.
How many people can honestly say that they've had their original? I think actually, okay, to be fair, I think I have my original 64.
Yeah.
My mom has it. It's my green one. It's a clear green one. I have to see if she still has that. God, when did the 64 come out? How old was I in that one?
Probably would have been like 96 or something.
I was 5 years old, 6 years old.
Yeah, it would have been like mid to late 90s.
She would have gotten, that would have been like technically the second out ones because it was the clear colored one. So I'd have been 7, 8 when I got my first 64.
Okay.
So, and I honestly still think I have it, and it probably still works too. But the funny part is, like, how many people can say they've had one since from the beginning? Like, who still has their original game system, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes they get shoved away. Like your parents will have them, or they, ended up at a garage sale, or sold off, or just broke and got tossed, and yeah, I mean, it is rare, like especially nowadays, because consoles have a tendency to break down a lot more easily. They have a lot more moving parts and are more complicated.
But back then they didn't.
They were cartridge based. There weren't any really moving parts. Oftentimes, what would happen is over the course of like many years, people who were hardcore into particular consoles would naturally find like the flaws in it.
Yeah.
So, for example, the Sega Dreamcast has a rechargeable battery inside of it.
You just gotta play it though.
Yeah, assuming that it can hold a charge still.
Yeah, but as long as you plug it in, it should be fine, shouldn't it? You just gotta reset the date.
Yeah, but you have to reset the date every time, kind of a thing, which annoys people.
Yeah. It's a slight tediousness comparatively to having your freaking Genesis that still works. Because you do that, because if it doesn't, it does hold a charge sometimes, but then you have to reset the date, which is fine.
It doesn't anymore though. That's the thing, because I played it enough recently because I've been streaming it that it holds a charge. So I'm fortunate enough and I wouldn't do this anyways because I'm not
changing it out.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable enough. I know how to, but I'm not comfortable enough like unsoldering and resoldering in an aftermarket battery and then hoping that it'll function and I don't accidentally like burn out the board because I got the wrong
that would be so
battery
scary.
or voltage of battery. And so that I would just redo the date every time or just leave it when it was at. But yeah, fortunate enough, like my Dreamcast holds its charge. You just have to play for a couple hours and it charges that battery up for like a week or so. So, but yeah, with those older consoles, it always kind of came down to that. Is like people would just like, oh, after usually X amount of years, this chipset pulls from the board just from getting hot.
Yeah.
So that's why it'll go out. Or this battery needs to be recharged.
But then if you think about it, those people who have gone through those issues have been able to tell other people so they can essentially fix them if they wanted to. Absolutely,
yeah. And there's a lot of, especially people in our age group and older gamers that know how to do it. Yeah, they have the expertise. It's something they've always been passionate about.
The funny part is where like older generations comparatively 10 years even, where we have a console and it breaks, we find a way to fix it. Because our parents necessarily didn't have that kind of disposable income to just go buy us another 64 or a Genesis or anything like that.
Oh, no. There's no way, yeah. Because console prices and game prices were all over the place.
Yeah, they weren't really consistent. Like, games are at most $60 and, obviously...
You can buy, there would be, a really shitty NES game that would be, $80. And then kind of, one of the best, NES games ever could be $40.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was. There wasn't a standardized pricing for...
games like it is nowadays, and it's just like
consoles just kind of launched at whatever they thought was reasonable. I mean, sometimes it would be kind of like everybody gave Sony for the PS3 a huge kind of slap on the wrist for launching a $700 console, but that happened quite a few times. In earlier console generations, where it was like, oh, here's the Neo Geo or whatever, it's $800. And that was just a thing, and that's in 1990s money. So
yeah, 1990 money is like my parents had fucking 1990s 5 kid scenario shit. They ain't buying more than one Nintendo 64. Y'all sharing. You only get one controller or two if you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a bunch of siblings who were beating each other up while we were playing the game for.
Yeah.
So it's like, and plus my parents, I don't know about yours, mine would get mad if I traded games. Like, oh my god, because they're expensive and like.
I never even did or wanted to.
What's what I mean?
I would borrow games from people, and I would loan games out. I could do that. That was fine. But it was like, this has to come back. Otherwise, I'm calling a parent. Kind of. Yeah. It was under that kind of.
My parents got mad. Like, I wasn't supposed to do it. I mean, I did it anyways because some kids would have other games I wanted to play. My parents wanted to buy for me, especially like certain Pokemon ones. Because normally Pokemon games were handheld.
Yeah.
So I was always playing them on my Game Boy, but then some rare, like, arena ones would come out, and I could play them on my 64.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd want to play them, but my parents want to buy them because they just bought me my handheld Game Boy one. So
exactly.
But I want to play Pokemon in here, too, because I like Pokemons, and while you being a dick, let me play the Pokemon.
Yeah, so you're borrowing it, but you have to trade
it, yeah. And then my parents would get mad, where the fuck's your game at? I'm like,
I don't know, I just can't find it.
Where the fuck did you get this game from? I know I didn't buy that for you. And then, you get caught red-handed, because there's only one TV in my house, and it's in the front room, and you're trying to...
That's funny.
I wasn't one of them special kids that had a TV in their room. No, I had to play the games on the front room TV.
It was a long time. I remember when I got my first CRTV.
Right.
Well. Yeah, right. I was a little kid then, too. It was about the same time I got...
Somebody spoiled, jeez.
The Genesis.
Oh, yeah, you're an only kid. Fuck off.
I was an only kid, yeah. So for, quite a few years...
Yes, Caleb.
I was an only kid, and money wasn't a problem when I was really little. It was later,
It's because they had more kids. Did you see the problem here?
Well, yeah, but I had different stepdads, so that was also the problem.
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah.
But when you have more kids, it's a problem because.
Oh yeah.
Because
I was I was 9 when my sister was born. That was my first sibling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And it's like with me, it's like my brother and I are a year apart. And then my youngest sister, she's 2 to 3 years younger than us. So us 3 kids about in the same fucking age range, let alone that I have older siblings who are a lot older because they were 6 when we were born. I was 6 when I was born, so.
Yeah.
But so that's 2 older sisters. That's 5 kids total. And for granted, the 2 olders weren't really interested in gaming because they were girls. I don't know if that's any specificity, but they didn't care. And then,
How many of that
generation
and that generation, because they're we're all in the same generation, but that wasn't really a big thing
for girls to play games. And so my youngest, my brother especially, because obviously we got Mortal Kombat and stuff, and we would play games and like the 64 and blowing the cartridge to play your game and stuff. And then it turned into handhelds because it's a little easier instead of us kids only having one TV and then mom and dad wanting to watch their shows or movies
and cheaper too, more cost effective
to have one TV than a console. It was so I end up having
games are usually cheaper too.
Well, 90% of the time, the funny part is I either found a Game Boy from a friend who gave it to me and then forgot, and of course I never told him, and then he rushed right back.
That's funny
because it was obviously one of the richer kids, so they have. Their parents had disposable
income. Yeah, just buy another one.
Right. Or my parents found a kind of jank one where the back is missing. So I have a really cool purple one, clear purple Game Boy color. Its back's missing. It's duct tape, and I drew on the duct tape.
That's funny.
I don't know if that's still around, but I remember that's part of it.
I think it is. I think it's in your bedside end table.
Oh yeah, I still do have that, don't I?
Yeah. Yeah. They're in there. They're tucked away.
Yeah, my older systems, because I still have the original Pokemon on there. I think it's Pokemon
I had
Yellow.
a turquoise Game Boy Color that was gifted to me from my grandmother for Christmas. Or birthday.
But I just find it funny.
Got Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons for Christmas.
Ooh. I just find it funny with people who either have multiple siblings or single siblings, just the differences in gamings and how it's raised. And
yeah, it always blows my mind when and not in a bad way, but when younger people are you'll see it on social media, the PS3 or the 360 was my first console.
You're what?
That's
my 8th console.
Yeah, I was that generation was where I got to buy a console with my own money on day one. That was like the only kind of like momentous thing that happened.
The
It was,
momentous occasion.
yeah, I was like, and yeah, it was like, yeah, it was X amount of consoles in.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the first one that I bought with my own money, you
'Cause
know.
I had a job with my own disposable income.
Yeah, I was an adult, so by the time
well,
that
quote
came
unquote,
out,
an adult, you know.
yeah, of age.
Yeah, you were not an adult.
But yeah, so it's like it's a completely different
like,
kind of mindset.
Yeah, and it's like obviously now too when we bought the PS4 together because we split that difference, and then when we bought the Switch for my birthday because it came out around my birthday, so it's like being able to buy those two relatively in the same breath as well.
Yeah, it's just because
of PS4.
You're an adult, you have a disposable income, and if the stuff you like, you buy.
But
so
then you get the other generations. This is why we're talking about this too, where our parents, my mom and dad, didn't play games.
Oh yeah, and my parents didn't really play games when I was growing up.
So
my one stepdad played a lot of games, and that's probably where that seed kind of like
came to fruition.
Yeah, and him and his friends were really big into gaming and stuff.
Uh-huh.
They played old school PC games. Mm-hmm. I remember I can't remember his name, but let's say like Nick or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he had his own Sega Genesis, and he had like every single Genesis game that was like coming out at the time. And so he would come over and hang out with my stepdad because they were friends, and he would bring over all of his games and his console.
Yeah.
So they would play whatever, but he was nice enough where he'd be like, play whatever you want.
Yeah.
And he would let me, because I had my own Genesis, it was after my birthday, and so then I could pick whatever I wanted to play, and I could try it out and play it, which is crazy.
But then it's like with my family, it's like my parents and stuff was like camping and like doing outside stuff and not...
I only have a single memory of going camping. And I only have a separate occasion where I went fishing with my dad. It only happened once.
I honestly went. I can tell you, I went every year. Every summer break, I went. Once. Was my us youngest siblings besides Danny got to a point he got too old and I don't want to do shit with my family.
Yeah.
But we went camping every year. We went to the ocean every year. We didn't
see, and I was like at a very young age, like super fascinated with like technology and like programming and like animation and like how to do that and how to make that and how to understand how computers work.
But you and I are both on that cusp and that breath where technology started becoming important, where we're starting to integrate it in schooling and using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then my parents kind of saw the value in getting us a game system and stuff like that. Yeah. But in the same breath, I didn't necessarily grow up where I always had one.
I think I want to say I'm pretty sure my mom never expected that I would be doing something like this as an adult.
No, I don't think they had either.
But I don't think she really I think she was uncertain of whether if it was just a fad because of like advertising or other kids, had it and played it. Yeah. Or if it's something that I would always enjoy and want to do. Because she's always been very supportive. If it's like, it's something that you enjoy and want to do, and it's going to last, then she'd be supportive.
Yeah.
If it was something where it's like, oh, this month I want this, and then it's like I'm never gonna play it again or something, then it's kind of like, which I understand.
Yeah.
From a parenting standpoint.
And money wise, like then that's how my older brother was. He wanted to play the guitar. He wanted to have an RC gas powered car and shit like that. It'd be just what he was interested in that month.
Yeah.
My parents at the point told him to like, get a job, quote unquote, to go get it yourself. He'd mow lawns and stuff and do something to earn the money to get these said things because my parents knew him enough that he wouldn't consistently play them. And when it came to my little sister and I was reading. I always read.
Yeah. And I'd read a lot too.
And when I did like Pokemon, I liked playing my handheld and my card games. So I always had Pokemon either on my handheld, which was a lot cheaper and easier for my parents to handle comparatively to a console.
Yeah.
And invading their TV time and stuff like that. Or just be on the couch by myself, playing Pokemon. And I'd show, Mom, look at this Pokemon I caught. And, Mom going, no, that's so cool. And I don't know what the fuck that is. Or, getting my card pack. Mom, look at the hologram I got. Yeah. Again, that's so cool. I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Yeah, and my dad was...
my brother's original Pokemon cards, too.
Yeah.
They're on my bookcase right now.
Yep. Yeah, my dad was super supportive. He played quite a few games with me, actually, like, growing up. Like, we would try to get, like, the licenses and stuff and Gran Turismo and go back and forth on the PS1. And he got me into Burnout.
Yeah.
And, I have a lot of fun memories of him and I playing.
My mom, not necessarily, but my dad was fun. He would button smash and play Mortal Kombat with us kids and
Yeah,
stuff.
well, my mom did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom,
You
I
know,
remember her and I playing Mortal
my
Kombat.
mom necessarily wasn't doing that. She was taking care of 5 kids, cooking dinner and cleaning. She didn't really necessarily want to do that. But when my dad would come home from work or something like that, Dad, I'm excited to see you come play this game with me. And,
Yeah.
he'd be like, smacking at like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? That man can't even use a phone to this day. When he's texting you, it's just emojis. It's not hieroglyphics. What the fuck? It's not Egypt. Stop it.
Yeah, my mom, when I was really little, would like play with me like that with certain games, and then later when I was like junior high school age, my dad would play games.
Yeah.
So it kind of like flipped a little bit.
Yeah, and it's like with me and like how I grew up, I was always out with helping with my dad. Like he'd be working on cars and stuff. And
Yeah.
the kid will be out there helping him, and I got little hands. I can get into sit on the motor and not destroy anything and get behind bolts and stuff. And,
of course.
But then quid pro quo with my dad. I help you play Mortal Kombat with me and watch me slaughter you. And he liked playing.
My mom and I played Mortal Kombat too.
Yeah. He liked Scorpion. Get over here in the movie.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure my mom and I always played as Scorpion Sub-Zero. I'm pretty sure. Because we watched the hell out of that movie. Like, her and I in particular.
I like
and we had the soundtrack on cassette.
Evil lady. Not Sonya.
Not Sonya, but
the mom that was evil but not evil.
Yeah.
I love playing her with her hair. The whip action she always do with her hair.
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember either, but no.
And you played the inferior version of Mortal Kombat.
Whatever.
No blood.
You know what?
Censored.
You're censored.
You support censorship? That's cool. That's fine. Whatever.
You're censored. Because they were not recorded video wise. Anyways, so no, but it's just crazy to see. Obviously, every family is gonna have different aspects, but just a huge generation difference in where
there is like retro gaming is in its own sphere and kind of butts up against like
gaming in general,
and then HD gaming in particular and online gaming is in its own separate sphere, but they're connected by, like you said, the big bubble of gaming.
And it's like you and I were at the precipice, the beginning of consoles.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not gaming in the sense of the word, because obviously you had D&D and card games and stuff like that, but like legit the consoles being sold, because
we missed like the first generation by about 10 years.
That's hardly anything.
But it was like very flooded and not focused.
How many, you looked this up, how many freaking consoles were released?
Almost 900 documented consoles released in the first generation of consoles.
That's insane.
So like if you can go and do this. Hopefully after the podcast.
You can pause it. You can. I mean, whatever you feel.
Yeah, sure.
Just come back. Keep listening. We love you. Don't leave us.
Please don't leave us. You can look it up on Wikipedia, and it has all of the generations of console gaming. And there's just a little blurb about the first generation. It's like a paragraph.
Yep.
And it pretty much just links to another list. They're like, look at this other page if you want to see what is included in the first.
And it's like.
Yeah, it's like 880 something items. Like,
oh my god.
Because they were all rudimentary PCs. Is kind of what it came down to. And so they were. I mean, it was just like anything under the sun you can think of, like branding wise and companies and. It was all fresh and new, and so that does really butt up against the video game crash as well.
Yeah,
kind of aided in that, but yeah, the first console generation is just gigantic. I mean, it's just and really not. Definitely pioneers in their own right, and I'm sure you can find very like specific examples, especially thinking like game documentaries about video game history and stuff, but nothing really like in particular to note.
No.
Like, to be honest,
and then it's obviously with the second coming of Jesus. It's essentially the second generation.
The second generation is kind of really where you start to know in popular culture what's going on. So you get like the Atari 2600 in the second generation.
The NES.
That was in the next one.
Oh, that's third generation.
But yeah, the second generation, the Atari 2600 really kind of shifted everything. I mean, it
did the how gaming was going, the consoles were going.
How home consoles were going to be kind of designed from there on out, and you got your first instance of like Pong and stuff like that, and using a joystick not in an arcade but in your home, as a controller
with a 3-foot cord.
And a box that was designed for that, not with cartridges and stuff, you're not
Do you
really.
remember the '70s show where Red and what's his face? Crap, the dumb one.
Ashton Kutcher's character.
Yeah.
Kelso. There we go.
Played took apart the Atari 600 because it's 1970s.
Yeah.
And then to make the Pong pads smaller because they got tired of it because they were so good.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And then Red's
modding it pretty
yeah,
much.
they were modded it themselves, and Red's like, if this is destroyed, I'm kicking your ass.
Yeah. I do remember that episode.
I'm sorry, I just stemmed from that. Just reminded me of that. Just how even then they were modding it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, and that was kind of the allurement, and that's why I think the first generation is so gigantic because it's you had a lot of people interested in this kind of tech or software engineering, which was new.
Yeah.
And so you could tinker around with it. You could make your own games.
Which is cool.
You could play them on these machines. That were relatively customizable with rudimentary tech.
Yeah.
But at the time it wasn't rudimentary. It was
cutting
edge.
Yep.
And so, but it was accessible for the first time, and so that's why that generation is so huge. And then the Atari 2600 and just that brand of that company really kind of solidified what home console gaming was going to be.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And then, of course, the king comes and dominates barely a generation after that.
Exactly. So by the time you roll around to the third generation, you get to 1985, the NES, or the Famicom, as it's known in Japan, is released. Famicom.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the Super Nintendo is the Super Famicom, and
Super Famicom,
yeah, pretty much.
I feel like a little anime dude. Super Famicom,
yeah.
It's got to do that. You have to do that, or it just doesn't make any sense.
Pretty much.
But yeah, that came out in 1980.
85.
85.
Yeah, here in the West at least.
Yeah, 85 in the West.
But yeah, we get the Nintendo
Entertainment System. Which is funny because it's 1985, and then you were born in 1988.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
so I was born in the third generation.
Yeah, and I was born fourth, I think, so 1991.
Yeah, you're kind of at the end of that one, at the beginning of the next generation.
Right in the middle of the generation.
You're born squarely in the fourth generation, and the fifth generation would be more 93-ish, a little afterwards. Yeah. So, but yeah, you were just born in the next one. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and the NES again, just like the Atari had done, really kind of solidified what console gaming was going to be. I mean, it really piggybacked off of what Atari had done right, but then it introduced, the games and franchises that we all know and love to this day still.
Mario.
Yeah, I mean,
Mario.
You got Mario, you got Luigi, you got, Duck Hunt even.
Mario.
What?
Green Mario. Green Mario.
Episode 7 throwback.
Oh, Green Mario.
Green Mario. But yeah, I mean, you got all these fantastic proprietary characters and designs, and people were starting to experiment with gameplay. You get the birth of the platformer.
Yup. Side-scrolling 3D.
Yeah.
Coming from that.
Yeah, exactly, and that does later then spring into 3D.
It does,
a couple generations later.
Oh yeah, it does, but it's just insane how that stemmed from that, where it came from the Atari, where you're playing freaking Pong to
Final Fantasy on the NES as well.
The NES, when you get just a shit ton of
Xanadu
games.
was on the NES.
What the fuck is that?
It's kind of like a old school benchmark for RPGs on the NES. Xanadu.
That's weird.
Yeah. That's an interesting one to play. It kind of plays like Prince of Persia Classic a little bit, which is on OG Sega consoles.
OG.
Yeah, was a PC.
Isn't that just weird to think though? Because if you go from arcade games, they've always kind of been around.
Yeah, I mean, definitely dominated well before.
Well before. Yeah. But then
and that kind of very communal gaming and going to a place and having a certain atmosphere and vibe and
scoreboards, which I think scoreboards stem to trophies.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Scoreboards
and score chasing and things like that absolutely stem from the competitive nature of arcade
games, and then it goes to trophy hunting and then earning trophies and being the top, which is insane in its own right.
Yeah, and gamer score on
gamer
Xbox
score
and stuff like that.
And it's and it's cool to see though where it kind of stems from, because people see the arcades and their initials and stuff, and you obviously get throwbacks with TV shows and stuff, and even Stranger Things is a really good one that kind of is a precipice on that, showing that old fashionedness, where it's like the gaming and how the little redhead was introduced.
Yeah, they have the arcade as kind of a prominent location in Stranger Things season 3. Also, like you pointed out just a few minutes ago, you know, D&D and those kind of role-playing games, tabletop games, because they were stat-based, lent themselves to virtual RPGs.
I know, and it's just the stem of things and technology and its growth, and it just, you know, we are old enough, yet still young, to have seen that big change.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say we probably missed out on was like the heyday of arcades. That was before our generation.
I do miss arcades. I remember.
We know of them, and as adults, we have played in them. Yeah, barcades are really big amongst like millennials, so we kind of get to relive that.
Yeah, the dumbass ones, like when you're a kid, like Chuck E. Cheese. That's not cool.
No,
that's not an arcade.
No, we kind of missed out on
the heyday of
it. Yeah, I mean. You know, we experience it in kind of a different light now as adults, you know, where you can go and play Aliens or pinball and get drunk.
Dude, that was so much fun. Side note, story time. Story time. Because we had just, were we married then?
Yeah, we were married. It was, a year before we moved into the house, we had a chance to go on a week-long vacation.
Yeah, we went to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, which is not too far away from here.
No. And we actually took the train. We old schooled it. We didn't drive or anything like that, because both of our cars would not have made that trip.
No, we could have rented a car and driven down, but we decided to spend the money and get a train ticket because it's something we've always wanted to do. And we took the train from Spokane to Portland,
which was insane. It was so cool. And then we saw Red Hot Chili Peppers in concert, but there was this cool barcade there.
Ground Control.
And we were there fucking every night. And it had all the cool games. Obviously, you could drink. They were very shocked because we're the only adults that wanted shots. And we got big gulps. Oh, God. Ugh.
Yeah, we took shots Schedule 1 almost every evening. And
also in our heyday of drinking.
Yeah. It was like, it's a 2-tier arcade. So like the top floor.
Pinballs, games.
Yeah, it's all like pinball and then just a few arcade machines.
I had my Aliens.
It was up there.
We played Alien all the time because I love that game. It's my favorite.
And there was only like maybe 2 or 3 of those kind of cabinets, and the rest was just all pinballs. And then down below was all the other more traditional arcade cabinets. And you can look them up as well. Ground Control in Portland, Oregon. But they kind of have a deep history of having like some really rare arcade cabinets that there's only like a few left, kind of a thing. They have them, so. And
it's really cool. Like they're fucking great atmospheres. Like Tron at the time, I don't know if it's changed. I don't think it has, but Tron Essential set up for the seating area.
Yeah, so all the tables like lit up and the booths lit up and all the lighting was Tron inspired. The bathrooms had been redone.
I think the women's was Pac-Man.
The men's one was too.
Okay, so
yeah, because it was all like intricate Pac-Man tiling and stuff. Yeah, which was really cool. It was like, it seems weird to say, but it was like a beautiful bathroom.
Yeah, for a public
and it's a public restroom, but it was like very intricately tiled and game themed, and it was really cool. And that was, I think, reading up after them either like at the time or after the fact. They had. I think somebody had invested some money into them to do some refurbishments, and that was one of their like main points, is that they had redone the bathrooms like that and done the Tron seating. So,
but it's just like, you know, kind of cool to have throwbacks. But of course, we weren't even thought of. We were in the testicles, roaming around Earth. You know, preemptively. You know, we were the sperm that survived, but many moons later.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a culture that we're a part of and something we enjoy doing. I mean, it's the crux of our business. So it was cool to experience that, but it definitely was, you know, decades after the fact. And
not the obviously
not
original, you know, initials in there, and coming back as a kid, you know, every night getting quarters, doing something to.
Yeah, exactly. After school, you know, hitting up the arcade every day so you could, you know, score chase, you know, to beat your friend or whatever.
Yeah, beat your friend or fight your friend or, you know, make sure your top score is still there if you're really good at the specific game. And obviously that stemmed into your kids and stuff, and into leaderboards, and then into trophy hunting, which is like a
achievement and trophy hunting.
Weird kind of growth from that. But then again, it's a weird growth from a giant ass, arcade game to a tiny little box that can play all these games. So,
and also stream Netflix and has an e-store and you can talk to somebody across the world on a microphone and play a game with them. So obviously it's come a long way. But I would agree. I would say that the primordial form of trophies and achievements is score chasing or cloud chasing via an arcade cabinet in the 70s.
No, that's just crazy to think. And then how Nintendo got its crown, and how even when Nintendo did have its flop with the Wii U, it's like, okay, we don't fuck this up. This one is just dead in water. Let's just throw out another generation, which a lot wouldn't do. They would wait till the lifetime of that cycle and then put out a new generation. They're like, nah, Holmes, we got this. We'll put something else out that we were wanting to do.
Yeah, you would think that they would just either be done
and wait for
like Sega was, or even Atari later, or earlier than Sega, later for Nintendo. They would maybe pivot like their marketing or try to rush games out, just try to get more eyes on their console and just kind of...
No, they knew that it was a flop. Time to hit the boards and to revamp and redo it, and then they got the Switch out within its life cycle, which was just insane. Because 90% of the time, they wait till the life cycle is done of the game, and obviously we were talking about generations now. What, we're in the 9th generation?
We're going in the 9th generation. Currently, we're in the 8th generation.
And so, that's right. The 9th generation's the PS5 and all that. Okay.
Yeah, whatever Nintendo puts out in, the next probably 10 years or so. And then, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One Series X will be considered the 9th generation. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, I think, as well, just generationally. It's like we're in the 9th generation. We remember when it started out, 800 fucking consoles come out at the very beginning, and now we're in the 9th generation. There's 4.
Oh, yeah. And you look, like I said, I referenced that Wikipedia article.
3. Yeah.
That lists out all the console generations and then also what consoles are included in those generations. So the first one, which we already kind of touched based on, had, almost 900 separate units that would fit into that category. You look at like the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, even like the 5th, and they're hefty lists. I mean, it's like long. They got pared down obviously from 900
to but you're 70, 50.
Yeah, you're looking at a few dozen for almost each one. It's because it's like Panasonic came out with a console, like the CDI. Jaguar was Atari's last console. Then you also had, Sega thrown in there. Nintendo was still going strong. And then Sony. I mean, it's like... And then you had, Konami had their own console. And, like, you saw these, like, weird, like, spin-offs and stuff that were kind of rolling at the same time. So there's a lot of consoles in the early generations. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. We get to now, and on that same list, and it's, like, the 8th generation of consoles, and it's the Wii U, the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One. Yep. That's it. Just those four. 3 companies, 4 consoles.
That's what I mean. And
it's the same thing with the one before. It's like, Wii, PS3, and 360.
Yep.
And it's just Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. They're 3 consoles they each respectively put out. The trifecta now.
The King and the Nintendo, because it's been around longer.
Yeah.
And then the 2 Knights.
Yeah, and it's like... Yeah, and then they both really splintered off and started obviously after Nintendo started putting out consoles and kind of have gone their own separate way.
They came around 5th generation.
So Sony is a generation older than Microsoft.
Yep. Nintendo's older than both of them.
Yeah, Nintendo is a few generations older. Sega's really the only one that kind of hung on in there for a little while to overlap.
Yeah, but he didn't last.
Unfortunately, not.
No. It sucks because the Sega Saturn's legit.
Sega Saturn's super legit. So in the 5th generation, you get the Atari Jaguar.
Yep. Which
was Atari's last console. It was 1993. The Sega Saturn. So right in the middle of kind of Sega's run. That's their second to last console to come out. The original PlayStation started in the 5th generation.
Okay, so it's the 5th generation.
And by comparison,
I think it's the
Nintendo was at
64.
the 64.
Yeah, and that's like 3 generations in already.
Yeah, from the 3rd generation to the 5th. So yes, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So they had already been around 2 generations prior. We're on their 3rd run.
3rd console at that time, which is insane in its own goddamn right. And they're on their 3rd console at that point.
Also, the only console manufacturer still around to avoid the 3rd console curse.
What's the 3rd console curse?
3rd console curse is pretty much exactly how it sounds. Console manufacturers or companies get to the 3rd console, and it doesn't do as well. It usually bombs. So you look back, the Xbox is in its 3rd generation.
3rd console curse.
Has bombed compared to the Switch and the PS4. It's like sold a fraction of the units. I mean, you're talking...
Oh, then the 64 is a 3rd console curse?
It should have been.
But it didn't.
That's why it's the thing. PS3 had a
Oh.
horribly rocky start, was severely overpriced.
It came back.
It did sales-wise by the end.
It's a semi-console curse.
Yeah. I mean, they were able to kind of rally and...
because they changed things dramatically inside that life cycle.
They had to, yeah. And then you get a lot of, Sony's great, first-party characters and franchises, like Uncharted and Last of Us, and, God of War really had its heyday with God of War 3, and so... but yeah, I mean, it suffered from the curse, and, so did...
I didn't realize the 64 was its 3rd generation. Well, because that was when I was born. That was my generation.
Yeah.
So it's not
and
3rd
then
to
with
me.
Sega, it was the Saturn, which is kind of forgotten about, and even in comparison to the Dreamcast. So, the third console curse is something that they avoided.
That's insane. I didn't even think about that because you're right.
The 64 is one of the most
still popular fucking ones there. It's got Zelda on it.
Oh yeah, the best regarded Zeldas.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Zelda fans usually say their favorite is Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, both on the 64. Mario did exceedingly well. Mario 64 is also regarded really well and had a port onto the DS later, but yeah. But yeah, they really avoided that whole thing.
I think their console curse was the Wii U, but that's just marketing on that end.
It was just marketing, and then
they just
even more quickly course corrected than Sony did with the PS3. So.
I know, because they were like, okay, we really fucked up with this one. Let's fix this real quick and just toss out the Switch, and then bam, they fixed that.
Exactly.
Obviously not that quickly, and that's not how they did it, but still.
Yeah, in a relatively short period of time, though, as far as technology and getting mass production and then games made for it.
No, yeah, and it's just... I just can't believe... I didn't honestly realize that the 64 was the 3rd generation.
Yeah, because you had NES, Super Nintendo, and then it would have been 64.
Yeah, but to be fair, like I was saying, the 64, I was born with the 64. That's my first generation game.
Yeah, exactly.
The first I've ever owned was the 64, so... And
for me, it's I kind of straddled the line a little bit. I'm I didn't have a Sega Master System, which would have been the same generation as the NES. But I... did the Genesis was really kind of my first one, but I like you pointed out, I did play a lot of NES games. And had an NES, so I kind of hit 3rd and 4th generation there. Yeah, and then forward.
That's true, and just because then its own right, because it kind of skipped that curse, and regardless, because then it had the Wii, which was successful, and the Wii U was only a central flop. That's its 5th console.
Yeah, because GameCube would have been 4, so Wii would have been 5.
And it would have been
Wii
6.
would have been 6,
That's
Switch
7.
is 7. So I've had 7 mainline consoles, not counting handhelds.
Yeah, oh god, no, yeah, handhelds are its own breath right there, and they've dominated the handheld in its own right, like we talked about before. So Nintendo is
going into the 5th one.
Nintendo was just...
Or not Nintendo, Sony, is going to its 5th one. So 5 compared to 7. And Sony is the next in line kind of a thing.
It's next for the crown.
It's like the crown prince. It's kind of what it comes down to.
It goes the king.
It's the prince, the oldest son in the royal family would be Sony. And then the younger brother would probably be Microsoft. It would be Xbox.
It's not the jester?
No.
Fine.
That's PC gaming. No. But no, I mean that's kind of what it would be. It's you get the king, you get the crown prince, and then you get the younger brother, the younger prince.
Well, then the side
Duke of whatever is probably what
Duke of Asplunus. Sidestep that, and if any PC gamers come at us about consoles, you can fuck off right now because you all make your own shit. It don't count. Bite me.
Well, and we're not a PC podcast. We're a
if
console
if you
podcast.
think about it though, and I will stand to this one, PC gaming it's gaming. I'm not saying it's not gaming, but it's not console generational because you make your own goddamn center. You just play the games, and to make it run faster, you piecemeal the shit together. And,
absolutely.
And it's not a console.
I hope they wouldn't try to make that claim because that would be foolish.
You fool, sit down before the ground.
Yeah, it's not our content and not the audience we're speaking to.
Yeah, but you always get those jackasses that tune in and pipe in, and then they gotta say something.
Sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and there's always one. Everybody gets one.
Everyone gets one.
Spider-Man or Family Guy.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one. Why is it gonna snow right now? Sorry,
it's
now.
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, it's March. It's still winter, but
yeah, we haven't hit spring yet. Even
no.
It'll be the 21st.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nintendo's done a really, really good job, as far as marketing and longevity and
just kind of doing their own thing.
You get the 64, and I'd say probably other than the Wii U, which is a kind of an obvious weak link, I would say the GameCube, but that's kind of a 50-50.
Oh, don't you fight me with GameCube here, Holmes.
I'm not saying it's a bad console. I'm just saying that it's of all of them that have really come out, that would be the only one that I would say.
No, the GameCube is weird in its own right because it's...
I played the GameCube. I like the GameCube.
I like it too. It's one of my second favorite console after the 64.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it goes 64, GameCube, and Switch. I don't like the Wii's. That's more...
Oh, you didn't like the Wii?
No.
I like the Wii. I had one of those.
I think for me, though, that's because it switched to the weird...
the motion
control. And I was used to chords. And it just was weird to me. And I didn't like having
just
to move.
Threw you off.
I was lazy. I just like to sit there with my controller in my hand.
You could pretty much play it that way. But you could get a Pro controller for the Wii, too.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Didn't care. Didn't want to buy it.
Not as comfortable as the ones for the Switch, though.
No, exactly. But so it goes the 64, then GameCube, and then the Switch. And that's my top 3. That's my favorite ones right there. Because the GameCube had Animal Crossing on it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's kind of like a 50-50. I'm just saying out of all the good or great Nintendo consoles, I would say is that.
It goes Wii U for sure, a lot farther down, level-wise.
Because the Wii is also the only one that kind of... and this is why Sony is kind of a contender to Nintendo. It doesn't dethrone them by any means.
No,
but all of the top selling consoles are held by Sony. Yeah. Except for the Wii is in there. But the Wii also isn't number 1 by any. It isn't like Wii is number 1 and then all the other PlayStation ones. It's it's kind of in the middle, and then it's just PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. It's just not PS3, but it's PS1, PS2, PS4 are all in the over 100 million units sold.
Yeah.
They dominate sales-wise, which is crazy.
It's funny to see how the difference is why Nintendo still holds its crown comparatively to...
I agree. Nintendo does hold the crown. It's
why Sony hasn't dethroned it.
The only one that would be close is
It
Sony.
may get the sales, yes, but it's Nintendo. And that's self-explanatory in its own way.
Because it's the longevity. It's just having that market share and power for so long. It was 3
generations in by the time Sony popped out.
Yeah, absolutely. And... Sony did what Sega tried to do to Nintendo, where it was this is the cool kids console, and Sony was this is the cool kids console, and we're doing 3D, and it's on a disc, and it's yeah, shit. And the Sega Saturn had discs and stuff too, and later the Dreamcast, but it really the competitive nature was Sony and Nintendo had their issues because they were going to do a joint console together that never got off the ground. So there was kind of that rough split there that created bad blood between the two at first.
Going on there.
And then Sony swiped Final Fantasy from them on top of it.
Yeah.
But it was more taking out Sega
than anything.
Than Nintendo, even with that kind of bad blood.
Well, then the funny part is Nintendo's haha at you brought out the GameCube with a tiny little disc. It's well, fine, here's your disc. Piss off.
but not standardized. So it's kind of like the PSP with the
weird disc,
the UMD drives and stuff.
But
they thought that would be a universal disc at some point, but
it wasn't. I honestly feel like the GameCube was a go fuck yourself.
Well, if you look too, You have
You
a...
can fucking take the GameCube. It's got a little handle. You carry it. Take it with you. Plug it in your friend's TV.
Well, see, if you go that route, the PS1 and the PS2 had screens you could put on the console.
I like how no one knew you can flip the PlayStation thing.
I did that all the time, by the way.
It blew everyone's mind on Twitter.
It did blow everyone's mind, and I'm like, I did that all the time. Like, I moved it all, like, I would fidget with it even. Like, I did that constantly. I thought everybody knew.
Nope.
The Sony logo on the
Switch.
PS2 flipped back and forth.
Nope.
And I was like, man, I should have capitalized on this shit 20 years ago. Like, I had the inside scoop. I just thought everybody knew, but apparently not.
That's what you get for assuming.
I guess.
Never assume.
Yeah, I don't know how my kind of, like, breakdown would go for favorite
your favoritism?
Nintendo. Yeah.
No, that's just mine is because obviously the 64 was my very first one. I like the GameCube because it had one of my secondary favorite games, Animal Crossing, on it. And then I love the Switch because it's the Switch. So Still don't like the Wii. I like the Wii. I don't like the Wii U. I've never only owned a Wii U. But
no, I've never.
Because I fell in the same marketing trap. It's just an extension of the Wii. Why do I need to get it?
Yeah, then it wasn't around long enough to like really make a difference for us to
because
purchase.
they realized, oh, we done fucked up. Let's fix it quick, and they did.
Yeah. For me, I'd probably say Super Nintendo's number one.
Okay. See, Nintendo's will get you.
It's got this is not overall for consoles. This is just for Nintendo. If you do want me to, I can do overall.
Yeah, do overall because yours is different.
It would be PS1, hands down, number one slot.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm. Recently.
No, Dreamcast.
Yeah.
That's the most recent. I grew up with the Genesis.
Fair
Dreamcast is number 3. That definitely has like moved up.
Moving on up.
And then like beyond that, it starts to get real tricky.
You're real tricky. We'll just leave 3. Top 3.
Yeah, so my top 3 would definitely be PS1, Sega Genesis, and Sega Dreamcast. I was like, I can't get that like Sega kid blood out of me. Like even though they've been defunct for 20 years pretty much, and just act as a studio or publisher, I can't get it out. It was like I was like Sony second blood. I started with Sega though, like and I'm always desperately hoping they will come back someday and do a console.
Because I know you'll be on that like a water and rice, but they didn't.
Oh yeah, I was $1,200. Here we go. Take my money.
Wait, what? Give it back. Take my money.
But no, I would love it if they got back into the console game and did something just slick and different and competed somehow with Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. I think that would be amazing.
That would be cool. That'd be kind of just.
It'd be cool if like Microsoft just kind of bowed out and went in more into the PC and software market like they're doing, and then Sega was like, "Hey, we got a console.
Did you forget about me, buddy?
Here's the Dreamcast too." I mean, what? That blew my mind.
We're coming out with a new Atari.
I know, which is super weird. Yeah, the Atari VCS.
Yeah, I'm not playing that.
I don't think I will either. It's pretty much just a like specialized PC.
No, fuck that.
That's about it.
Okay, that's not a console. Then never mind.
No, it's not. They don't have like proprietary like software or stuff like that. Yeah, I would say those are my top 3 like retro consoles. It gets hazy because like overall, I would say I really like obviously the Dreamcast, the Genesis, the PS1, but I really liked the PS2, PS3, and PS4, Super Nintendo, and the Switch.
Yeah.
Didn't play much 64. Didn't play much GameCube. I agree. There's things I played on the Wii, but the motion controls definitely. I don't like to play games like that either. And the NES, and then I'm familiar with, but they're a little bit like rougher. Yeah. So I have difficulties getting heavily into it. But
no, that makes sense though. With when it comes to those generations, that's why you like them, you know of them, we own them more long before me, and the fact that you went PlayStation though because you were Sega, and then boom, there it goes.
I did, yeah, and I actually, rave about Sega so much. I didn't have a Dreamcast. I don't remember the marketing very well for it, actually, at all. And I don't know if I just missed out on it or not. I remember Sony being all over the place.
This is going to sound extremely stupid, maybe because my family was poor and never really had TV. I don't ever remember fucking marketing on any of the handheld consoles, period.
I remember some marketing depending on what system it was. So I definitely remember, like, Sonic the Hedgehog and Sega Genesis in particular marketing.
Yeah.
Sony later, for sure. And then a lot of other stuff was kind of like word of mouth or like kind of viral, stuff at the time. Obviously not like viral as in like internet viral sensation or something.
Yeah, not even near there, yeah.
But definitely like word of mouth. Where
Yeah.
It's like, X amount of kids in your school had GoldenEye for the 64, and so you got to hear how great it was, But and actually, I was looking up some stuff about the Dreamcast. They had really weak marketing in North America in particular.
Oh,
so it's probably why I never like saw it or really knew about it because I was still a kid, and so I probably didn't even realize they were coming out with anything. Kind of a thing. And so I definitely went Sony, and I was very much enticed by the PS1, and I was kind of hooked from there on out. I had to play so many amazing games on the PS1, just in the same way that you played so many amazing games on the 64. It's like, it just stands out to you because of it.
It does. And that's why it's like awesome to see it. And, Nintendo's king. Who knows when it's going to be dethroned, if it ever will be.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely in it for a long haul, just in the same way that Sony is.
Microsoft's petering out.
Yeah, Microsoft seems to definitely... And not petering out in a bad way. They're bowing out on their own accord in some respect. So
not
who knows
to the point maybe
how far they will take that.
Yeah.
But they are definitely focused on PC and software and their games and getting them on other consoles. And so, that eventually may lead to them really not producing a console or having the need to, because you can play their games, on any PC, and you can play them on whatever, Nintendo and Sony console are out.
Yep.
So, and that may give rise then to just two competitors
and maybe
that don't really directly compete anymore.
Nope.
They're just in the same space.
Yep.
But it may give rise to, somebody else to really, try what Microsoft did all those years ago and what Sony did or what Sega tried to do.
Waiting for my opportunity.
There have been distant rumors that Sega might get back into the console manufacturing business. So
we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like a distant far rumor, but
hey, hopes and dreams. Well, Cancer, I think we're petering out on that one.
Yep, I think we're done. Ski.
All right, it's a good wrap up. Nintendo's king as always, and for good reason though. It's not like it's king because it just was a dick, but it's a fair ruler.
Like bullying, like power kind of a thing.
Yeah. No, it's a fair ruler. He rules well. He rules with a stick. He rules well.
With a kind but firm hand. But no, I mean they do. I mean they really are just kind of top dog. I mean they're just super innovative with their characters and their franchises. Right out the gate, they've innovated in clever manners on all of those franchises. They've been around the longest of the current consoles.
Yep.
Or console manufacturers. And then with their hardware, it may not ever be the most powerful, but they do a wonderful job of creating like just innovative ways to play and to experience it and to be communal. Almost, akin to all those years ago playing in an arcade.
Exactly.
So.
Excited to see how it's going to go, but...
Yeah, I think the Switch is going to continue to do gangbusters, and we'll probably end up in a top sales slot of all time. And then we'll look to the future and eager anticipation to see what they do next. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that wraps up
episode 10.
God, 10, yeah. Jesus.
Generational Nintendo.
Generational Nintendo. All right, well.
Do music for that. That would be good.
We should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Ariel Schultz.
I'm Anthony Schultz.
As always, folks, follow the bear.
Grace, have a good day.